Hi, I'm Jen, and I'm a fantasy copywriter at usomuch.com. And I use fantasy in my copy to tap into people's dreams and desires, to show them how your product and service makes your customers' fantasies become a reality. And I think the best way to make your fantasy come true is to write it down, because words make it real. So I'm continuing my video series about how to write copy for a website sales page. And again, the goal of a website sales page is to get the reader who's on your page to continue reading down the page until they get to that end and they click that buy button. And that's why I use fantasy, because it's so important to make sure you show your customers that you understand them, that you understand what their fantasies are, and you're going to help them do that with what you've got. And so as I've been talking about, there are some things that I always include whenever I write a website sales page. And those things are a headline, a customer-focused message, subheadlines, bullet points, a call to action, flow, and then optional extras such as testimonials or a guarantee, a bonus, that kind of thing. So for my next few videos, I'm going to talk a little bit about call to action, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about my philosophy behind call to action. So the call to action is obviously what it is at the end of the page, the action that you want your reader to take. So usually it is that buy button when you're on a sales page because you're trying to sell something, but it could be something different. You might want them to take a different action. Maybe it's you want them to click here for a freebie. Maybe you want to take them to a different page. But whatever it is, it's a call to action, and it's very, very clear. And not only does it need to be clear, but it also should only be one call to action. Don't confuse the reader with 2 or 3 different things that they can do on one page. One call to action so they know exactly what they should do. So the next thing about call to action that's important is that by the time that they get to that buy button or whatever action it is that you want them to take, you want to make sure that you have addressed every single objection as well as every single fantasy that the reader might have. And so that's why sometimes you'll see sales pages that are really, really long and others that are much shorter, because it really depends on the customer and really where they are in the buying cycle, how aware they are of your product, how many fantasies they have that you can address, and how many objections that they have. So basically, by the time they get there, they can make a decision because you've answered every single question that they might have. And so the last thing about the call to action button is to remember how you want the reader to feel, and that you've brought them through those range of emotions by the time that they get there, and that you have made their fantasy very palpable, that your product and service is going to make their fantasy come true, and that when they get there, they're going to take the action because they know that their fantasy is right around the corner as soon as they click that buy button. So let's review call to action real quick. What you want to make sure is that it's very, very clear what action it is that you want the reader to take, and that there's only one. You want to make sure you've addressed every single objection and fantasy before they actually get there so they can make a decision. And you want to make sure you are aware of how you want them to feel and that their fantasy is waiting for them as soon as they take that action. If you want to know more about me and my fantasy copywriting, you can find me online at usomuch.com. Thanks so much. And don't forget to write down your own fantasies because words make it real.